Here is the Honda 110 CRF. It's a 2020 model, fuel injected, electric start. A lot of fun. Of course I bought that for the grandkids. How can you ask such a question? Anyway, I took it on a little trail ride just for fun to break it in and try to get enough miles on it to have to change the oil. Bought it last August, and it's funny, you seem to never use them as much as you think. But I noticed over this rocky trail that exhaust pipe is really exposed. So that's where this comes in. I went online to Ricochet to order this, and aluminum. Comes in different colors, but none of them look that great. Oh great, it's got Torx screws. I'm not sure I even have those wrenches, so there may be a big pause in the middle while I reconvene and head to the hardware store or auto parts store and buy a wrench. Oh, here goes nothing. Alright, I'm back. I was able to locate the magical tool. It's going to be the T40, the Torx 40 that you need. And that is to tighten these bottom screws. And then here, on this guy though, this is 10 millimeters, so I'm going to have to remove this, and this side's 10 millimeters. So I found my 10 millimeter socket and 10 millimeter box wrench to take that off. But then I turned to these nuts down here. That is a 7/16. That's an odd mixture. And then in the rest of the baggie that came with it, there's another 10 millimeter nut. Don't know where that's gonna go. And then this is another Torx 40. And then the spacers. So here we go. First thing I'm gonna do is remove this and then kind of fit it up underneath, and then I'll show you when I get that there. Okay, tool update. In order to install this, you're going to have to put it up on something that will hold it, and it needs to be, that's the perfect size if you run to the hardware store and grab a can of that. But anyway, you need to take off the foot pegs. So you're going to take off that bolt and that one under there, and then that one over there, and then that one back in there. So you got to take all this off, and I think the skid plate fits underneath right up against the motor, and then this is going to bolt back through there. The other thing you got to take off is this guy right here. Okay, so these bolt, that one is an 8 millimeter, so add that to your arsenal of tools needed. And then this down here, these are 12s, 12 millimeters. So I'm gonna start loosening nuts. So this nut came out, but then as I was trying to pull it off, I saw there was another one under here. So that bolts on there with 2 pieces. So you gotta take them both off with your 8 millimeter. So I got that cover off, and I'm not a mechanic, so I don't know what this is, but anyway, it's off, and that cover seems to be nothing more than a rock catcher because it's full of all these little pebbles. And I'm sure it does something to protect that guy too. So I'm going to continue on. I'm going to start taking off the foot pegs. We'll go to there. Quick tool update. These little guys that I thought I needed a 7/16 wrench for, those are actually attached, welded or whatever, right to that piece. So they don't come off, so you don't need them. Need to worry about that. The other thing I just figured out too is you don't have to take the foot pegs off. You just have to remove that front bolt. Loosen the back ones so you've got some, you know, maybe a little bit of play, but you just have to remove that nut because they've provided a nut and a spacer that goes up into that hole after you put the plate up on there. I'll show you how I put it all together here in a second, so just a quick update. Okay, got this little bracket that was on here, so we've got to put it on the motor, and there's a little extended piece there that goes into this side. That's just something that's already on the motor, and then this side's going over there where that other cover was, so you kind of have to pry it apart, wedge it up in there, get it in there. I'll go around the other side and take the cover. The cover goes back on first, and then this fits over the outside of it. So now that's there. Then I'll put that first bolt. I held that cover on back on there to hold it in place for a minute. It's getting really confusing how many sizes I got here. This was my 8. Gotta get my 8 socket back on. There. Just gonna finger tighten everything a little bit. Okay, I got that bracket in. I just wanted to show you that. It just fits in the side of the motor there. And that just had a little post built onto it, and it went right into the motor. And the other side, I want to show you how I attached it. Sorry, doing this myself is a pain, but if I can save you guys some trouble. So that's on, and then I got the bottom screw back in. So the cover's on, but this bracket's on the outside of that cover. Now I'm ready to take the plate and slide it up and put that on. I'll show you that when I get it. Make sure you tighten that bottom cover bolt before you put the skid plate on and attach it, because I just did that and remembered I had only finger tightened all these. I had to take it off again so I could tighten it. Okay, I got the first 2 Torx in. Everything's loose right now. Just kind of hand tighten them in, and then I've slid this up and put it in the back. Let me see, how am I going to show you how that's in there? Well, take it out. I've just got the Torx on the bottom. I didn't put a washer because they didn't put a washer on that one. So I'm assuming they want the lowest profile possible for scraping over rocks. But there is a washer that comes with it, and you can see in there with the spacer, I put the washer and then the spacer, and then I've screwed it in up to where the foot peg, hold the foot peg on. And that replaces the factory bolt that I took out, and I've replaced it with theirs with that new spacer, and everything in it fits right in. And another thing I've forgotten is Loctite, because all this stuff, you don't want this coming undone. So now I'm going to have to undo, put some Loctite back on, and then get it right back to this point. The other thing is I did not tighten this bolt yet that holds this bracket on, and that lets me rock the bracket so that I can get it flush against the front end of this, and also accommodate the angle of the skid plate, because it goes from front to back, it rises up to the foot pegs, and that way you can get it flush, get it that way, and then tighten everything down. All in all, looks like it fits pretty good. And yes, those are jack stands. I got rid of the timber oil can and put those in. I remembered I had those for when I changed the oil on my car. Much easier. Okay, I was able to get all 4 of those Torx tightened up under there. And that's the general look of it. I really like how it protects the pipe. Because there was another one online that I considered. I can't remember the name, but if you Google it, you'll see there's just a couple of these. But that one, that pipe is not the other one, the pipe was exposed. This one, it's covered all the way, so I think I'm really going to be pleased with that. And I just remembered, now that I got it on, I got to tighten that final nut there. That's the last one. And I used a torque wrench to torque everything down. I just kind of estimated by how hard it was when I took them off and put them back on at the same torque. Maybe there's some specs somewhere, but that's it. Time to take it for a spin.